We're here on an initial permanency hearing. We're conducting this to resume under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We're live streaming and I am recording to the Zoom cloud. I don't have a reporter this morning. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Alicia Walker is my permanency specialist. We're present ready.
Behaviour Red substituting in for Joel Jackson, who represents Desiree Ames, the mother of the child.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Whitney.
All right, thank you. And Casa's present.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right then, what do we have new since the court report was filed?
And Whitney's placement did say that they are going to get back on. So, but
Okay. I'll watch them.
okay. Whitney has been improving a lot at her placement. The main thing that she has been struggling with is the fact that her mom relinquished her rights. And she's been working on that a lot in therapy. She hasn't had any major behavioral concerns other than not always getting along with the other girls at her placement and not always getting along with the kids at school, but overall she's done pretty well. And as far as Trenton goes, his LPS worker still hasn't been able to meet up with him in person. He was just able to talk to him on the phone last week, and Trenton reported that he was out of town for work. I still don't know for sure where he works or if he's actually out of town for work. He hasn't sent me any pay stubs. He says he will, but I haven't received anything. So he's just been hard really to work with him so we can start services with him.
Ms. Walker, you said what worker had not?
Oh, I'm sorry. His LPS worker in San Antonio.
Oh, okay.
Ms. Walker, has Dad stated whether he wants an attorney or not?
He hasn't said like yes or no. He knows that I've sent him the paperwork. His LPS worker is trying to meet with him to go over the paperwork with him, but he kind of just keeps giving excuses every time.
Okay. And Judge, we still have not got him served. We did get a new address end of last month, and so we have issued a new citation for Dad to try to get him served.
Okay.
Whitney's placement said they are in the waiting room.
Do we have a name?
Either Ariel Crosby
Okay.
or
I've got Ariel Crosby. The others wouldn't have been it. Okay. Okay, so we've got a new address, so we've got new citations sent out to him.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we know, has he been sent the paperwork to apply for an attorney?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Walker, that's what we were just talking about, Your Honor. Ms. Walker sent him paperwork. The LBS worker has given the paperwork. He just won't give us an answer, yes or no, or fill out the paperwork.
Yeah, okay. Okay, looks like maybe we've got him logged in now.
And Your Honor, since Whitney has joined us, I would ask that we go off of YouTube to protect her privacy.
I have no objection, Your Honor.
Ms. Rudd, any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and close the courtroom since the child is present. We want to protect her
We're
privacy.
present ready, Your Honor, and I believe
confidentiality,
we'll be able to make an announcement at the end of this.
So, Your Honor, I'm Tate Eldridge. I represent Trezell Moore, and we're both present and ready.
Jeff Hill on behalf of Kevin Johnson. He is not here, Judge. He's in the Potter County Jail. We're ready.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Kiana.
All right, thank you. Okay. Then Mr. Trout, if you want to tell me what we think we have agreed, do we have an agreement with Jeff's
Both.
client too?
Yes, ma'am. Both. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Super. All right. If you want to go ahead and tell me what the agreement is.
Yes, ma'am. Agreements for our department to have temporary managing conservatorship, parents to have possessor at this time and to work services throughout the case. No medical support or child support being asked for at this time. And we would also request, due to the nature of this case and removal, we got some concerns of withdrawals with the child. So we'd be asking for no in-person visits with mom until we get a clean UA. and as long as hair follicles are coming down.
All right, so we're talking about getting a clean UA
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, there was a.
and
we-
and as long as hairs are dropping.
Yeah, as long as those don't spike on us all of a sudden, as long as that starts working down and we get the clean UA,
Yeah.
we can start thinking.
All right, Mr. Eldridge, does that sound like what you all have agreed to?
That's what we agreed to, Your Honor. I just wanted to let my client know that's the reason for that. She and I talked about the hair follicles coming down and all that stuff, but she didn't know about the UA. But the reason for that is the doctor has asked for that. It's not necessarily the state that's asking for it. The doctor asked for it, and so we're just of the agreement that it's the UA and that she doesn't have to have a clean hair follicle because that'll take a few months to get that done before she'll be clear. But yes, that's our agreement with that understanding.
Right. Okay, so Ms. Moore, let me just address that. You know, that is not meant to be punitive to you. It is simply for the health and safety of the child. Because methamphetamine can be transferred skin to skin between a mother and an infant. And it's very, very dangerous for the child. So, you know, as soon as we have a negative UA on you, then we will start those in-person visits. And for so long as your hair levels are dropping. So if you're not using anymore, your hair levels will be coming down. So, you know, my best words of wisdom to you is if you can get yourself involved in drug treatment right away, now's the time to do it. Because while you can't have in-person visits with the child right now, you know, it'd be a great time for you to start doing that. Okay, Mr. Hill, is that sound like your all's agreement?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. And he is in, did you tell me he's in Potter County?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Is this, I was trying to get back, was this a probation type violation thing? Or where's it a new charge?
I thought I read it was a probation violation somewhere in there.
Hang on, I think it is probation.
I think that's right, Judge.
I know he was on probation, so.
I just read through all that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's a probation violation.
Yeah, it's probation. Yep.
Okay. So he may not know what's going to go on with that for a while. Okay. All right. And Ms. Zavala, does this sound agreeable to you?
Yes, Your Honor, it is my agreement. I do think it's in the best interest of Kiana, and she's placed here locally and doing well.
Okay, great. So again, Ms. Moore, let me just say, number one, you're very, 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 very lucky the child is placed here in region. We don't have enough foster homes, and a lot of times our children end up all over the state of Texas. So, you know, she's right here close to home for you to be able to visit as soon as you've got that negative UA. So, be grateful for that and really try to address the substance abuse as quickly as you can. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Okay, you understand what I'm saying to you?
yes, I do.
Okay. All right, then I will approve the agreement as announced and find that the evidence is sufficient to name the Department of Family and Protective Services as temporary managing conservator of the child. We will not order any child support or medical support at this time. Mr. Johnson is an alleged father, as I show him. So I guess, Mr. Hill, the next conversation you have with him may need to involve whether he wants genetic testing or not. Obviously, we'd like to get that going if he wants that. I couldn't order him to pay child support or medical support at this time anyway. We'll start in-person visits with mom as soon as she's got a clean UA and as long as her hair levels are dropping. And I'll see everybody back for our status hearing on October 24th of 2024. And that's on a 9 o'clock docket. And we'll talk more about your service plans then, but you don't have to wait until then to get started on them. So between now and then, St. Francis is going to meet with you and talk about what services you need to work.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Trout, you show anything different on him as far as him being alleged? I mean, am I correct about that?
Yes, ma'am. Grab my file again. I think that's what we let him in as, Your Honor.
Okay, so Mr. Hill, if you'll just have that discussion with him about whether or not he wants genetic testing or not, that would be great. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Alleged.
Okay. All right, thank you all very much. Appreciate you working this out. Good luck to you, Miss Moore, and I'll see you back then later in October. Here today for a status hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We are live streaming, and Ms. Taylor's making our record. Okay, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Avery Hoganson is my primacy specialist. We're present ready.
Jeff Hill, on behalf of the alleged father, Kevin Johnson. Judge, he's in the Randall County Jail and will not be joining us today. I'm ready.
Stacy Zabala on behalf of the child.
Okay, we got Mr. Eldridge in. I'm not sure he's
I'm here, Judge. I'm here on behalf of Giselle.
all right then. What do we have new from the department since our court report was filed?
Everything is still going very well. Kiana is a very happy and healthy baby. There's no issues whatsoever with her right now. She's been taken good care of in placement.
Ms. Hoganson, have you been able to go over family plans with parents?
Have been able to go over Truzel's family plan with her. I have not yet with Kevin.
And he was just recently moved from Potter County to Randall County. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And Your Honor, family plans were filed. They're not signed by parents, but they were filed with the court on the 18th of this month.
All right, but mother's gone over hers.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right then, Mr. Eldridge, did you or your client have any questions or concerns about the family plan?
No, we don't have any questions, Your Honor. She's already completed several classes. I've got 5 certificates here of completion that she's done. I don't know if those ever made it to the caseworker, but I do have them. And I think they've been presented to the caseworker, but I know she's working her services pretty well. She's, from what I can tell, doing a pretty good job.
Okay, sounds good. We've gotten some stuff completed already. That's great.
Avery, do you have certificates yet? Or are you waiting?
Yes, sir. I have a certificate of completion for a parenting class that she took online.
Okay. Mr. Eldridge, is there any others besides the parenting or?
Yeah, the first one is certificate of completion, never married version, up parents, successfully completion the online course, brain development, sudden infant death syndrome, abusive head trauma, shaken baby syndrome, certificate of positive guidance and discipline 2024, managing common childhood illnesses in child care 2024, child maltreatment, a guide for child care professionals 2024. Those are the ones that I have.
And are those, Avery, are those individual classes in the parenting as a whole? Or is that what those are?
Yes, sir. Sorry, I
Okay.
was under the impression that it was just fully
Okay.
completed.
Okay, all right.
Giselle, is there anything you want to say?
No, everything's basically, I sent everything to him and I've been trying to do everything I can.
Okay. Just keep doing what you're doing. All right, then. Okay, Mr. Hill, anything to report?
Yes, Judge. Mr. Johnson would like to have a DNA test.
All right, and I just show he is alleged, so that issue's never been dealt with, I assume, so, Mr. Trout, if y'all want to get an order prepared, I'll sign that and we'll get that in the works.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Zavala, anything to report?
Your Honor, Kiana's doing really well. She had a lip tie procedure and that went well. She's eating well. The withdrawal is mostly gone. I believe that right now mom's visits are just virtual until there are clean drug screens. I hadn't heard anything about a drug screen. And it sounds like maybe there have been 2 virtual visits and then 2 missed visits. So I didn't know where we were in terms of visits.
Ms. Hoganson?
Those are virtual right now until we get a clean drug screen.
Okay, have we drug tested her recently?
Yes, Your Honor. The last time that I sent her, it was in September, and it was September or October. I'm so sorry, I cannot remember right now. And she did not go, so it was a presumed positive.
Okay, Ms.
There,
Moore?
sorry, Your Honor, there is a test that's been filed with the court. Looks like it was specimen from mom was a UA done on September 18th. She did go to that one from what I can see. And we did have positive results on that test.
All right, has she done hair for us as well?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am, I don't see a hair.
Okay, Ms. Moore, I'm gonna send you to do a UA and a hair for me. And I'm gonna court order you to do that. So, failure to appear is gonna be deemed another positive result. What we really are trying to accomplish here, if you know, if there's still drugs in your system, that'll show up in the hair. Okay, we would kind of expect that, but what we need to see is those levels dropping. Okay, now on a UA, if you've not used, recently, we should be getting a clean UA, and when we do, then you can start having in-person visitation. So I would think you would want to do that. So let me ask you this. Do you have transportation to get to drug test?
Yes.
Okay. Because of the time this afternoon, can you be there by noon tomorrow?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Do you know where to go?
Is it the one on Ross?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to ask St. Francis to make sure that the paperwork is out there for you to hair and UA. And if you're worried about the hair, let's just get over the hump and let's just find out what it is, and then we'll start working, on trying to make sure that those numbers are going down until we get to nothing. On the UA, same thing. I mean, what we really need to start seeing are consistent negative UAs. Okay. All right, then, I will order her to go do that before noon tomorrow. Okay, Ms. Zavala, anything else?
No, Your Honor, placement is safe and appropriate, and I recommend that continue at this time.
Is placement relative or foster home?
Foster.
Okay. Are they in the area?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, great. Okay, then today, Ms. Moore, I want to talk to you a little bit about this service plan. This is what we call our status hearing, and by law, I'm required to tell you some things at this hearing. And what you really need to know is that those services are really, really important. And the reason they're important is because failure to work those services could mean, I don't send Kiana home to you. And worst case scenario, it can mean termination of your parental rights. So, we don't want to go down that road. You're off to a pretty good start. Let's just keep on track. If you're struggling with something, reach out to your attorney, reach out to your caseworker, let them know, and they can try to help you. Okay. Okay. Nobody wants to terminate your rights. That's the last thing we want to do. So we really want you to take this opportunity and kind of get things together and get things on track. Okay. Okay. All right, then. I will find that there is a continuing danger to return the child home today. The department is using reasonable efforts to reunify the family. I'm going to order Ms. Moore to go drug screen, as stated earlier, hair and UA before noon tomorrow. I will find that she is in compliance with her service plan at this point in time. And our next hearing date will be February 25th of 2025, and that'll be on a 9 o'clock docket. Our initial permanency hearing, we're conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We're live streaming. Ms. Galvan is making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Avery Hoganson is my permanency specialist. We're present ready.
I'm Tate Eldridge. I represent the mother, Truzelle Moore, and I see her name, so I think we're both present and ready.
Stacy Zabala on behalf of the child.
All right, Ms. Moore, I just want to make sure you're hearing us okay.
Yes.
All right, do you have video?
Yes.
Okay. Need you on your video if you've got it. Thank you, ma'am. All right, then Ms. Hoganson, thank you. You're it.
Right. Since the court report was filed, there hasn't been really any updates. Miss Moore has completed her parenting classes and she did complete an OSAR assessment. She has not followed the recommendation of inpatient treatment. For Kiana, she's doing amazing in placement. She's hitting all of her milestones and starting to roll over. She's doing really good in placement, no medical concern. She's healthy. She's eating good. But for Miss Moore, she has also not gone to drug screen for me. The last drug screen that I have from her was from October 25th, 2024. And I have not gotten any proof or documentation that she has started therapy or a psychological evaluation.
And anything new with respect to Mr. Mitchell or unknown father? Any new information?
No, ma'am.
Judge, we've sent out to try to get Mr. Mitchell served. Haven't been able to get him served yet. Find him to get him served.
Is he in custody?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is he?
Okay.
He may have got served in since. Let me see.
And have we gotten genetic testing started on that? Because I think he requested it and
Let's see, Your Honor. Sorry, I may have misspoke on this one.
while you're looking. Okay, Ms. Moore, I read that you were maybe going to go to Senecor. Did you do that?
No.
Why not?
I'm gonna keep pushing it back
Why is that?
because I keep getting close to either getting a job or something. So there's no reason to go for 30 days and have to start completely over.
But you don't have a job right now.
I know.
So wouldn't this be the best time to go and then start looking for a job when you finish that?
I guess so. Yes.
Why haven't you gone to drug test for us?
Honestly, I just haven't really seen the text messages. I just got this number back.
Well, I mean, you're fully aware that we were going to be asking you to drug screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is time to just everybody come clean, okay? So when was the last time you used?
Like 2 weeks.
2 weeks ago? What'd you use?
The same stuff.
Well, what's that stuff? Tell me.
I mean, it's on paperwork, everything. That's
Well,
it.
here, Ms. Moore, here's the deal. I mean, I can look back through a whole bunch of notes, but I have about 400 cases. I can't remember what every parent is using. So I'm not, it's an informational question I'm asking you. What did you use?
Meth.
Okay. See, that wasn't that hard, was it? So here's the deal. I'm going to order you to go drug test today. Do you have transportation to get there?
Nope.
Okay, Ms. Hoganson, can we make arrangements to get her and go drug test today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Where should Ms. Hoganson come get you?
10-13.
Will you repeat that, please? I didn't get that.
Okay, I really would rather it not be out on YouTube. So I'm going to ask her not to repeat it, but is that your home address that Ms. Hoganson has?
It's just where I'm at right now.
It's just where you're at right now. Okay, Ms. Hoganson, do you think you heard the street address?
No, Your Honor, but I can text her.
Okay, she's going to text you. Like right now, she's going to text you. And then I want you to respond to her by that text message as soon as you can. Ms. Hoganson, what time would you be there to get her?
I'm pretty much free all afternoon, so it's really up to her, whichever works for her.
But let's set a time.
Let's say 1 p.m.
Okay, Ms. Moore, can you do that?
Yeah.
All right, she's gonna be there to get you at 1 o'clock. If you're not there and you don't go, it's deemed a positive result. And that's just gonna keep setting you back further and further in this case. And the problem is you're gonna run out of time. You know, I mean, your dismissal date in this case is September 1st. And I know that sounds like a long way away right now, but it's not. I mean, you've got lots to do, and some of these things take a significant block of time. So if you're going to do, inpatient drug treatment, I mean, there's a month right there. But during that month of inpatient treatment, you can probably get a number of other of your classes and things done. So it's real efficient use of your time to do that if you go to inpatient. If you don't go to inpatient, there's always outpatient. And, a lot of that's 12 weeks, 16 weeks, takes a lot longer even. So all I'm trying to say to you is that time is going to get away. And I'm looking back, you were at the status hearing, and at that hearing, I admonished you that failure to work your services could mean termination of your parental rights. Do you remember that? You're nodding affirmatively. Yes, you do remember that.
Yes.
Okay. So, that is a road that I don't ever want to have to go down, but parents sort of force me to do that all the time when they don't take this stuff seriously and they don't work their services and they don't change the reasons why we got involved with you. So you can make a decision today to turn this around and start working towards getting your child home. Is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't, then you need to have a serious talk with your attorney about what your options are. So I'm just saying these things to you. I'm not picking on you. It's not that. I'm just making sure you really understand how serious it's getting, and that you got to get with it. If this is going to have a good outcome, you're going to have to get with it. Okay.
Your Honor.
Yeah.
As far as Dad, he was served, I believe, on Friday.
Okay.
Just hasn't come back in my system yet. We have not got the paternity test ordered, but we can get an order to you.
All right. Yeah. Get an order to me. Well, we know where he's at, because my understanding was he asked for that. Or maybe this was, hang on. Let me go back.
I think we just recently got this name, Your Honor.
Yeah, that was maybe on the initial alleged dad, maybe Mr. Johnson.
We did, and we did paternity testing on
Yeah.
him. He was non-suited out. So this
Yeah.
one, I don't think is asked for it yet.
But he's incarcerated, so let's go ahead and get it ordered.
Yeah.
Okay. We're talking about Mr. Mitchell.
Correct, Your Honor.
Well, yeah, let me just for the record put a name to who we're talking about. Okay. All right, and he was served, you said, on Friday?
Yes, ma'am, I believe that's the correct date.
Okay. All right, Ms. Zavala?
Your Honor, I would like to follow up with Ms. Hoganson and just determine if any family has been identified.
Yes, ma'am. At the beginning of the case, I know that Miss Moore's mother was identified, but due to her medical conditions, she was not able to take Kiana.
Okay, so there aren't any home studies pending or in the works anywhere?
No, ma'am.
And are my notes correct that Miss Moore has not participated in video visits since October?
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and those have been offered to her?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I believe that she's attended a couple here and there, but a majority out of the virtual visits have been missed.
Okay, because my notes say none since October, but I don't know if that's what you're saying.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the reason they were virtual is we just didn't have a clean UA ever start in person.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your Honor, those are all the questions that I have. I got to visit Kiana in person. She's doing amazing. And I've got zero concerns about her placement. She's very well loved, and I do recommend that that placement continue.
All right, thank you. Okay, today I'm going to continue the department as temporary managing conservator, and I'm going to continue the child's current placement. I am ordering mother to go drug screen today. Ms. Hoganson will transport her at 1 p.m. That will be a hair and UA. Ms. Moore, what's really important, I mean, you admitted to me that you used a few weeks ago. We know they're going to be positive, but what's really important for us is to get a baseline level so that moving forward, you know, if you really start working a program and you really start trying to maintain sobriety, we know, you know, we know you're making progress. So we can tell from those drug screens and the levels in those. So that's why it's so important that we get that. So I really hope you'll make the decision to, you know, do what you need to do.
Hey, Judge, can I ask one question?
Yes, sir.
On the inpatient, it's just so Truzell knows exactly what's expected. Is she ordered to go to inpatient drug treatment or outpatient, or is this kind of her choice? I mean, I want her to understand that if she doesn't do these things, you're going to lose your child, Miss Moore, and so I don't want you to do that. So I want it to just be clear that she's supposed to do these things if that's what you want.
Well, it was recommended by OSAR that she go to inpatient treatment.
Right.
And we're this far into the case, and she's admitted to me, which I respect, and I appreciate her honesty with me, that she's used recently. I feel like it's a great time for her to go to inpatient treatment because she isn't working. I think she could get some of her other services done. Now, that being said, Ms. Hoganson, is there any barrier to her going to inpatient treatment?
No, Your Honor, not that I know of.
All right. Ms. Moore, it may seem harsh, but I'm going to order you to go to the inpatient treatment. But trust me, if you go and you really work hard at this, there'll come a day you'll thank me. If you don't go, you know, the only other thing that really saves the situation is if you really successfully get involved in a long-term outpatient treatment program. Yeah, and I'm really more in favor of you going to inpatient and then entering into an outpatient treatment program. So that's going to be my order today, that you go to inpatient and then you get engaged in a aftercare type program. You know, AANA, something through Centacor. There's a lot of different programs out there. Ms. Hoganson can help you, you know, identify what those are. But if you're really committed to get your child back, that's what you really got to do. All right. So I think, as I said, we're going to continue the department as temporary managing conservator. We're going to continue child's current placement. I find a continuing danger to return the child home to the mother. And all we have is an unknown father. Obviously, we can't return the child there. And Mr. Mitchell, who is an alleged father, is incarcerated, so can't do that either. So that's impossible. Going to order the genetic testing on Mr. Mitchell. Order the department to continue to use reasonable efforts to reunify the family. All right. And as I said, I'm going to order mom to drug test today. Here in UA. I'm going to order her to inpatient treatment, followed by an aftercare program. And I'll see everybody back June 24th of 2025 on a 9 o'clock docket. We'll see how everything's going. Ms. Moore, I noticed that you had been logged in since 9 o'clock this morning. I start my morning docket at 9, but your case may not always be set right at 9. So Ms. Hoganson will know what time you need to log in, or your attorney, either one will know, so that you're not just sitting up there waiting as long as you were this morning, okay? Okay, go with Ms. Hoganson today at 1. Let's get these drug tests done and out of the way. And then she can talk to you probably a little bit about some inpatient options. And then I really encourage you to do that. You know, I would love for this to be a success story and that we get Kiana home with you. Okay? All you got to do is make your mind up that you're going to do it. All right. Thank you all very much, and best of luck to you, Ms. Moore.
Thank you, Judge.
Judge.
We're here today
Thank you, Avery.
on motion hearings in both cases. I think regarding placement, maybe some other things, but we are conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We are live streaming and I'm recording to the Zoom cloud. I don't have a reporter today, so if you need a copy, let us know. We'll make it available. Okay, we'll go ahead and take announcements, but I will announce Mr. Hammonds is not present today. He represents an alleged father, Adam Refugio Aguilar, who is incarcerated. He was not able to be present today, but he just said that he essentially had nothing else to add today. I'm sure that was circulated to everybody.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we'll go ahead and take everyone else's announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services will present ready on.
Gary Morales for respondent mother. Lakeisha Stotts, we are present ready.
Vince Nowak on behalf of Cameron Shelton, ready, Judge.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the children.
All right. Then, got anything resolved, or are we just going to wade straight into testimony?
I think we're gonna wait in, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. So I guess, Mr. Morales, really, these are your motions, I think, correct?
That's correct, Judge.
Okay. All right.
Well, and one of them, I don't think Ms. Stotts can really help us at all. One is just more of a clarification, Judge. So if you would like me to argue that, I could begin that way.
Sure. Before we take up the placement issue.
Yes, Judge.
Yeah.
So, and when we went to court and, I'm sorry, I've got the docket here. I should have had it right up. As you know, I was substituted for Joel Jackson in March. And when we had a court hearing for permanency in June, let me see. Actually, I believe it may have been the beginning of July. Yes, July 9th, judge's docket entry. Judge, I had made issue at the permanency hearing about the denied home study of the maternal mother. I didn't think it was fairly assessed, and I think the reasons, and this was based on meeting with the mother several times and speaking with her on the phone, and she seems very involved. The court did indicate that they wanted a review of the home study. I followed up about a month later, and Ms. Brown indicated that that St. Francis wasn't going to do a review, and that it was her impression that the court and the ad litem were going to review the home study, which in all honesty, I prefer. I don't know that St. Francis is going to give a fair evaluation of one that they've already denied, but that's just my opinion. But we didn't have any, we didn't have an answer on that review. In addition, the other two are somewhat related. Your Honor, I have a motion for extension based on that home study not being reviewed, and in addition to Mrs. Stott's visitation being canceled without order. Again, me being substituted in May, I'm not exactly sure what was spoken. I don't see anything that reflects that on the court docket, but Ms. Stotts was of the impression that, Judge, at one point you ordered that any visitation, any change in visitation was to go through a hearing first or by court order. She believed that visitation was court ordered. I do see that it was ordered for 4 hours, increased to 4 hours. but I didn't see where there was any limitation or specification on whether or not the St. Francis could unilaterally change those visits. Based on those two reasons, that's what we're asking our extension for, Your Honor.
Okay, so we'll back up one issue at a time with regard to the home study. Mr. Morales, I did review the home study and the ad litem also, I believe, did the same. And we actually had a discussion. And I think Mr. Trout was going to speak with his client about it. And so my assumption is, Mr. Trout, that your client are standing by the denied home study.
Yes, ma'am. And I talked to them again about it yesterday. Yeah, they still stand by that it should be denied at this time. Where the child is placed, my understanding, the child is doing very well, as of the last few months and is doing better. And so that is, and with going into the grandmother's house, and the prior history on this case, or before our removal happened, there were some concerns, of course, which is one of the reasons for denied home study, on whether grandmother would be protective if something came up. And so with our concerns with still having concerns on drug use with mom and some of the court orders that she hasn't followed, we still have a concern on whether grandmother would be protective of allowing mom around or not at that time. So we would still stand by the denied home study at this time, Your Honor.
All right, so Ms. Zavala, I don't know whether if there's been any new developments that have affected your position on this, or not.
Your Honor, I do still need clarification about Ms. Walker's home situation in terms of moving apartments. I do agree that Indiana has been doing better than she had been in the past. She is at an RTC. It's a pretty locked down kind of facility, which I hate to see for somebody of her age. I am still willing to consider only Indiana being placed with grandmother at this time, but I do think we need information on the actual home situation. And I think we need to have a very frank discussion with grandmother about access to the child, and what would happen if mom was around.
And
so Ms. Brown, do you know the status of her housing?
No, ma'am, we do not know what the current standing is. That home study was done over 6 months ago, so we don't know if she's still in the same apartment or what her medical conditions are. One of the requirements of the home study was to get a physician's letter in regard to her health, because there were multiple diagnoses observed in the home study as well.
Okay. And has she actually been asked for that letter?
No, ma'am. And there is concern that since the children have been in care, grandmother has not had any face-to-face visits with these children. So they've been in care since last September. It's been almost a year since she's had contact with these kids as well.
Okay. Well, to simplify everybody's discussion, Ms. Stotts, I'll get to you in just a second. To simplify everybody's discussion, I will just tell you that I am only entertaining the change of placement of Indiana. I think the other two children are, good where they're at. I don't, but I will entertain the possibility of Indiana. So that may simplify things today. I've got some concerns about grandmother having all three children, just from the standpoint of her health and what I've read in the home study. So Ms. Stotts, let me just ask you a couple questions. Do you know what your mom's housing situation is? I can't hear you. It's very muffled.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so a couple weeks ago, I believe either Aaron or Tiffany sent out an email asking my mother if she was still in the same place. And she did respond to that email saying that she was in fact in the same home and she's not moving, to my knowledge. She's not. And she did get a letter from her physician saying that she could take care of 3 small children. And she has been to a couple of my visits. She sat in for her 30 minutes that she gets a month on a couple of my visits, which
Okay.
are in the monitor notes.
All right. And I think, I think with respect to Arrow in Egypt, I mean, they were getting some special therapies and some things like that. Ms. Zavala, that's correct, isn't it?
Yes, Your Honor, and they're doing very well in their current placement.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying, I mean, at this time, I'm only entertaining the idea of moving Indiana. I do not like having a 6-year-old in an RTC. I mean, I understand she's had some behavioral problems and all, but I really don't see how having a 6-year-old in an RTC is going to be in any kind of temporary or any kind of long-term fix. I'm not a fan of that. I understand that we have certain cases where our hands are kind of tied and that's what we've got to do, but we've got an option to look at. So, I read through the home study very thoroughly. If she's got a letter from her doctor, that certainly needs to be turned over to St. Francis and to Ms. Zavala. We need to see that information. And then someone does need to go out to the home and just make sure that everything's, in good order and there's no safety concerns or anything for Indiana. And I guess I'm kind of disappointed that hasn't been done, knowing that this is what we were going to be here to discuss today. But, I've got real concerns about a 6-year-old being in an RTC for any length of time. Great way to learn some other behaviors.
Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
I do have some safety concerns for Egypt and Arrow's placement. Egypt has had multiple scrapes and bruises. I understand she's a toddler and she does get bumps and bruises, but no one can explain what has happened to her. She had a gash on her head that nobody knows about. They don't know if it happened at home or if it happened at daycare or if it happened. They don't know when it happened. And she's got marks on her arms and on her belly that foster mom can't explain, that I've asked her about multiple times. And every time I ask her, she has the same response. I don't know what happened.
Well, I assume if there's been if any of those have been anything serious, I mean, that St. Francis has looked into it and or initiated an investigation. Ms. Brown, we have anything out of the ordinary?
No, the gash on Egypt's head happened in April. Miss Stotts did report it to me. She did not call statewide intake and report it if it was a level of concern on her end. We did have the placement take Egypt to the emergency room. They said it was a superficial
right.
cut.
Didn't
Every
require
time
stitches.
they cleaned it up and it was superficial. Anytime that she's brought a concern to St. Francis, we have asked the placement to take the child to the emergency room or to the doctor. The nurses at the school examined Indiana whenever Ms. Stotts had made a complaint about something going on with Indiana. And so Arrow is also, the agency is also on heightened monitoring. Heightened monitoring has been in the home a few times as well. Every investigation that has been opened up on these children have been closed with no findings.
Okay. Ms. Vala, you have any concerns about the children's safety in this home?
No, I'm not sure I've got all the documentation on the investigations, but everything that I have heard has been the same, that everything's been rolled out, that there's always been medical evaluation. So I do want to request that I receive all of those documents just to make sure, but nothing that I have seen has given me any concerns.
Okay. All right. So Ms. Stotts, you were in inpatient treatment. Did you complete that?
No, Your Honor. The first time I went.
Your Honor, if I may, I was going to ask Ms. Stott some of those questions. If that is all right, unless the court wants to continue doing.
Well, I'm really just, and we can take testimony if y'all want to do that. I mean, if there's some things that have happened since we were last together, then perhaps that's what we need to do. So, I'm just trying to get some information as quickly as I could, but.
No, I understand, Your Honor. And there was some stuff that I was needed to ask because we haven't been able to get answers from them. So that's why I was wanting to ask these.
Okay. And, and I'm aware of what the department's concerns were that maybe grandmother broke a safety plan during the FBSS case. And there was the questions about her physical ability to care for the children. I get all that. I don't think we need to go back through and rehash what the department's concerns were in the home study because
Yes.
but if we can, let's focus on what maybe has happened since we were last together. That probably would be beneficial.
Okay.
So Mr. Morales, it's his motion. I'm still
Yes,
gonna Mr. Morales to begin, but then Mr. Morales, regarding the extension, I'd like to hear all the rest of this information before I rule on it. I think it's all, relevant to.
Yes.
So, okay. So, Mr. Morales, I will allow you to call your first witness.
I call Lakeisha Stotts.
All right, Ms. Stotts, if you'll raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Lakeisha, I know we kind of talked over this, but since we're going over this, I want to ask your position on the home study and the review. You were you were at least on the Zoom hearing for the permanency hearing in early July, where we requested reevaluation of the home study, correct?
Yes.
And prior to my involvement in the case, had you asked the department that any communication that they have with you go through your attorney?
Yes.
And likewise, whenever you ask something of the department, do you typically go through the email address? And
Yes.
you include me as well?
Yes.
Since that time, did you ask the department numerous times on the update of the home study?
Yes.
And were you ever given a reply?
No.
And was it until I finally inquired about it that we were told that they were not going to do a home study review?
Yes.
Okay. And that's when Ms. Brown indicated to us that she thought that Ms. Zavala and Judge Baker were going to do that.
Yes.
And that's one of the grounds you're asking the extension for, correct?
Yes.
And you would like all three of your kids or you're asking the court that all three kids be placed with your mother on the reevaluation of that home study, correct?
Yes.
However, as the judge indicated, we may be just looking at the placement of Indiana. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And there are concerns about your mom potentially violating this order. Again, not having been part of this, I don't know how much of this is based on speculation, but do you believe that the department and everyone involved could benefit from an additional 6 months to see how well your mom actually follows the orders of the court?
Yes.
And do you think your daughter would significantly benefit from placement with her?
Yes.
And so do you believe that that additional 6 months would be beneficial just as a testing ground to see if that's going to work out better for her than the RTC currently is?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you and I also had some private conversations, and I'm going to, kind of divulge some information that is generally protected, but I'm doing this, with the interest of getting this extension and some of the contacts we've had with the department. Okay.
Okay.
Now, you did begin inpatient rehab. Where at?
The first time was at Plainview Serenity.
And what about the most recent time?
Senecor.
And when did you begin that?
On the 17th of August.
And prior to your involvement in Senecor and even afterwards, both of your UAs that you've submitted to the department were positive for marijuana. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, as far as I was aware, there was no other substance that was positive.
No.
Is there any other substance that you have any issues with?
No.
When you went into Senecor, did you come across people who were there for addictions for much harsher drugs?
Yes.
And for example, what type of drugs?
There was some in there for meth, some in there for fentanyl, some for crack, some for heroin.
Did you come across anybody that said that they were in possession or otherwise see any drugs while you were there?
No.
Okay. Being around the environment with people that are addicted to much harsher drugs, did that take a toll on your mental health?
Yes.
And did you feel that you were benefiting from that?
No.
And can you explain a little bit more about how it was affecting you and what specifically that you came across that was affecting your mental health?
I mean, it was just the general environment. Like, a lot of them were going through withdrawals, and it was a bit hectic. I just really didn't want to be around them, and I was forced to be around them because like I couldn't just sit in my room all day. And when I did want to sit in my room all day, when they didn't force me to come out, it was depressing. I was by myself, didn't really have any entertainment, I guess you could say. It was just me in a closed off room by myself. And then when I did stay in my room, we had to be, I don't want to say had to be, but we were kind of locked into the room. So I couldn't like go out.
And you were in a room by yourself or with someone else? I'm sorry.
By myself.
Okay. In addition to any of the mental health issues you were facing there, were you able to have any visits while you were in care?
No.
Was that also troubling you?
Yes.
Have you been pretty consistent with your visits other than when you were in care?
Yes.
Are you aware of whether or not the children expressed any concerns with not seeing you while you were in care?
I haven't seen my children since being in Senecor. So I didn't see them the week before I went in, and I haven't seen them since.
When you did report to me that you had left Senecor and the reasons, do you recall I replied to you that I think you articulated very well that your mental health concerns?
Yes.
And then at that point, was it my idea that we approach Miss Brown and let her know why you weren't attending and see what else we could do?
Yes. And I did send her that same email that I sent to you.
And was there a reply or suggestion for any additional services, maybe TPC for your mental health, any outpatient until we could get into court and figure this out?
No.
Was the reply just to start, we're gonna withdraw your visits, your right to visit, and we're gonna move toward our final hearing?
Somewhat, yes. She said that they would review with her supervisor, and that her supervisor suggested, I guess, denied me to continue my visits.
And were you ever given any other suggestions in the alternative? I know this was court ordered and that might not have been accepted by the court, but did the department suggest anything that we could do in the meantime in terms of other services?
No.
Did you request?
No, I did not request. I did ask, like, I did say, like, is it possible for me to do something else? And I did take the initiative and continue doing NA services. So I have been doing NA twice a day for the past 2.5 months.
Twice a day or twice a week?
Twice a day.
Okay.
You have a sponsor for that?
I do not have a sponsor, but I do have some of the meetings that I go to, they do send verification emails. And I do have some verification emails from these meetings, but not every meeting.
Okay.
I'll pass witness.
And okay, so just to clarify, you did not complete Senecor.
No.
So how long were you there?
6 days.
Okay. Have you explored any outpatient treatment programs?
No, Your Honor. Not recently.
And did you complete Serenity the first time around or not?
No, Your Honor. I was discharged for someone else's actions.
All right. Okay, Mr. Trout.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Anna. Ms. Stotts, we just followed a line of questioning that Judge was just asking you about. You have failed to complete outpatient twice during this case. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you were actually discharged for not showing up? For non-attendance?
No.
Are you allowed back in that outpatient services?
I don't think so because I was discharged twice.
Okay. And why were you discharged twice?
The first time I was discharged because St. Francis drug screened me and it was positive. And I believe that was also the case for the second discharge.
Okay. And when you say St. Francis drug screened you, you mean you used drugs and were positive for drugs?
Right.
Okay. And you went to Serenity and did not complete Serenity.
No.
Have you ever turned over the paperwork to St. Francis of why you were discharged?
I requested the paperwork from my counselor at Serenity, and the only thing that I received was I don't even know what it's called, like a proof of enrollment, I guess, kind of thing. They never sent me the reason for discharge, and I requested it multiple times.
Okay. And then you were ordered by this court to complete inpatient followed by outpatient for the remainder of this case, correct?
No.
You weren't?
No, I was court ordered to do inpatient followed by
Outpatient.
a service after that.
Sorry, Your Honor.
The judge did not order me to do outpatient.
Okay,
Your Honor,
the judge did order you to do that. I ordered you to complete inpatient and follow up with outpatient. It's exactly what my ruling says.
Okay, well, I'm sorry if I misheard back in July, then that's my fault.
Okay, Mr. Trout, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. And so you pulled yourself out of inpatient 6 days in.
Yes.
Okay. So at this point, you have been kicked out of outpatient twice, kicked out of inpatient, and quit inpatient.
Yes.
Okay. And Mr. Morales asked you earlier about substances that you were positive for, and it was only marijuana. You also had a positive drug screen for cocaine in June, did you not?
Yes.
Okay. And that was one of the reasonings for the court ordering inpatient followed by outpatient for this case, correct?
I believe so.
So your answer earlier that you hadn't used any other drugs is not correct because you were positive for cocaine in this case, correct?
He asked if I have a substance use problem, and I don't use cocaine.
Okay, but you're positive for cocaine.
I was positive for cocaine, yes.
Now you said you didn't have a visit prior to going into inpatient in August. Is that correct?
Yes.
Why did you not?
Because my visit was from 12 o'clock noon to 4 o'clock p.m. and my nephews started school that day and they needed to be picked up from school at 3 p.m.
So you canceled the visit?
Yes.
Okay. So to say you didn't have a visit prior to, it's not entirely the correct story. You had a visit, but you canceled it.
I said I did not go to the visit.
Okay. So you skipped the visit. Correct?
Okay, yes.
Okay. So that missed visit prior to going into rehab is nobody's fault but your own.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the prior judge ordered back in April that your visits increase, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Since that time, you had tested positive for cocaine and had another hearing in which you were ordered to inpatient and outpatient, and then you quit inpatient.
Yes.
Correct? Okay. And so your visits were stopped.
Yes.
Okay. Did you drug screen for the department before you went into inpatient rehab?
No.
And why not?
Because I was at work.
Okay. Is your work aware of what's going on?
Yes.
Will they allow you off to go drug screen?
I was the only one in that day, and by the time I received Tiffany's email, I was already at work, which she came and saw me at work alone.
Okay. But you were requested to go drug screen.
Yes.
And you didn't go do that. Do you know the importance of doing what the court orders and cooperating with the department at this point?
Yes.
Okay. But at this time, you're not really cooperating, are you?
I have cooperated. I haven't completed what you guys have ordered, but I have cooperated, yes.
Okay. You left rehab after being court ordered. You skipped a visit, and then you refused to go drug screen. And I understand you were
I did not refuse to drug screen.
Did you go drug screen when you were asked?
No.
Okay. You understand, on these things, the ball's in your court. You just have to complete them.
Right.
Okay. But you're not doing that right now, are you?
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
I said, but you're not doing that right now, are you?
I've tried, yes.
Okay. You understand that the court ordered you to drug screen, and for you to say you didn't feel like it was needed and that you didn't like being around the people in rehab, you're still court ordered to complete it. You don't,
Okay, but
you don't get to decide whether you like what the court order is or not. You understand that, don't you?
right,
Okay. And so we're at the very end of this case. We're at the year mark, correct?
correct.
And you did what you were supposed to do and put yourself into rehab, but then decided you didn't like it. So you left it.
The second time, yes.
Okay. Do you believe that was in your best interest at that time?
Yes.
Do you feel like, for your case, do you feel like not abiding by that court order is in your best interest?
For my health, my mental health, yes. For my children's sake, yes.
Okay. You understand that not following court orders has consequences?
Yes.
Okay. Have you done anything since you've been out to address your mental health?
My mental health?
Mhm.
It's fine now.
Okay, because you said that being in rehab was affecting your mental health. Do you need help with
Yes.
your mental health?
Have I done anything about my mental health since then? No, I work.
So it really was just you didn't like being in rehab.
No. Because I went twice. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't have went back the second time.
Well, except you were court ordered to do it.
Right. But if I didn't like it, court order or not, I would not have went back the second time.
Okay. No matter the consequences?
Yes.
Okay. Did you tell Tiffany what rehab you were going to? Inpatient?
The first time, yes. The second time, no.
Okay, so you didn't even notify your worker where you were going?
No.
Okay, did you notify her that you had left immediately?
Yes.
Or was it a week later when you notified her?
When I left or when I was discharged?
When you left on your own accord from Centacor last month, 2 weeks ago, did you notify Tiffany right then, or did you wait and let her know?
I let her know that day.
That day? Okay.
Right after my attorney emailed me back, I let Tiffany know.
Okay. But you still never let her know where you went? Correct?
No.
Okay. Why not?
I left. So I didn't think it was important.
You didn't think letting your caseworker know what was going on with you was important?
I let her know what was going on with me. I did not let her know where I was.
Okay.
Ms. Stotts, you remember that part of your service plan that requires you to notify St. Francis of your location, where you're living, your contact information at all times?
Yes.
Yet you still decided that you weren't going to tell her where you were.
I mean, I went in on a Saturday. I didn't think it was. If I had emailed her, she wouldn't have been able to get it until Monday. 4 days later, I left.
Well, that's an assumption, I guess, on your part. I mean, I look at my emails 7 days a week. So, my point is, when you left Centacor, you did not tell her where you were going or where you were going to be. Is that your testimony?
When I went to Centacor, yes.
All right, Mr. Trout, go
I
ahead.
left before I went home. She knows where I live.
Did you go to Centacor the day after she asked you to drug screen?
Yes.
Okay. Did you tell her that day that you were going to rehab?
I believe I told her earlier that week.
Okay, but when she came and saw you at your work and told you needed to go drug screen?
No, we did not speak when she came to my job. She walked in and walked out.
Okay. But she tried to send you to drug screen that day?
Yes, she
Okay.
emailed me.
Okay. Did you respond and let her know you were going to Centacor the next day?
Objection.
No, I believe I let her know earlier that week.
Okay, Mr. Morales, I think you were objecting to,
Asked and answered. I mean, he's established that she did not let her know that she went to Synacor.
all right. She went ahead, she's answered, and I think she gave a more complete answer to his question, so I'll overrule the objection.
Miss Stotts, how often do you go to your mother's house?
I do not go to my mother's house.
When's the last time
I
you
don't
saw,
have a vehicle to get to my mother's house.
when's the last time you saw your mother?
I see my mom every day. She brings me to work.
Okay. So your mother, who you're wanting the home study reviewed on, and for Indiana, that we've talked about Indiana being, you see her every single day.
Yes.
Okay. But you don't go to her house?
No.
Okay. When's the last time you've been to her house?
Probably Thanksgiving of last year.
And is there an issue why you don't go to your mother's house, or do you just not go?
I want my children there, so I don't go there. Yes.
How is if your mother has the child, how do you want her to transport you if she has the child?
My manager will take me to and from work.
Do you drink when you're at your mother's house?
No.
Did you at Thanksgiving last year when you last saw her?
No.
Did you report to your OSAR that you left her house drunk?
I left my grandmother's house drunk.
Okay, so great grandmother to the kids.
Yes.
When's the last time you let Tiffany into your home?
January of this year.
Okay. You're aware she's supposed to see the inside of your house?
Yes. She hasn't been to my house. She hasn't requested to come to my house. She hasn't come knocking on my door. She hasn't been to my house.
At all since January?
Nope.
Okay. Where do you live? Have you moved since January?
Nope.
Still live in the same place?
Yep.
By yourself?
Yep.
Okay. Do you ever have other people stay over?
Nope. Not since I moved.
Okay. When did you move?
January.
Okay. So this is the new house.
Yes.
Since the case has started, this is your second home.
Yes.
Okay. I'll pass the witness this time, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Nowak,
No questions, Judge.
Ms. Zavala.
Ms. Stotts, do you know what would happen if we place one or all of the kids with your mother and you show up over there?
Yes.
What would that be?
They'll go back to foster care.
If Indiana was placed with your mother, how hard do you think it would be on her to be re-removed?
Very hard. Which is why I've already established that I'm not going to my mother's house.
Do you understand that that would also include things like your mom coming to pick you up to drive you to work and having Indiana in the car?
Yes.
Pass.
All right, Mr. Morales, excuse me.
Yeah, just a few follow-up questions. Ms. Stotts, where do you work?
I work at Murphy's.
Murphy's, is that the gas station?
Yeah, it's a gas station.
Are you familiar with their policies?
Yes.
When Miss Brown asked you to drug screen this most recent time and you said she showed up that day, what time was it that she asked you to drug screen?
Probably around 8 or 9 in the morning.
And you said it was your test. I believe your testimony was at that point you were already by yourself at work.
Yes.
If you get up and leave work, are you going to get fired if you leave that Murphy's unattended?
Yes.
Is it also a requirement of your service plan that you maintain suitable and stable employment
Yes.
and stable housing?
Yes.
If you lose your job, you jeopardize both of those.
Yes.
Was it possible for you to take the drug screen without jeopardizing both of those?
No.
Likewise, you heard the judge, she said that she ordered you to do inpatient and then outpatient, correct?
Yes.
So when you asked Ms. Brown if there was anything else that you could do, she failed to offer you outpatient, correct?
Correct.
And likewise, St. Brown therefore is also not complying with their requirements in the court order.
Yes.
I'll pass witness.
Okay, Mr. Trout?
Ms. Dodge, you testified a while ago, you're not allowed back at the outpatient, correct?
At that specific outpatient, yes.
And you were court ordered inpatient followed by outpatient, correct?
Correct.
Not whichever one you feel like doing at the time.
Correct.
Okay. Did you tell Ms. Brown that she didn't need to be in your house unless your kids were there?
Yes.
Okay. So you're already said you're not allowing Ms. Brown into your home, correct?
In a way, yes.
Okay. So if Ms. Brown showed up last month, you wouldn't have let her in the house, would you?
I would have allowed, if she showed up, yes, I wouldn't have had a choice. It's court order that I have to let her in.
Well, we've
I
already
can say what I want to say. I have to follow the court order either way.
Well, Ms. Stotts, we've already kind of established today you're not following the court orders and kind of do what you want to anyway. I'll pass witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Noah?
No questions, Judge. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Zavala?
No further questions.
All right, Mr. Morales, anything further of this witness?
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Okay, Mr. Morales, do you have any further witnesses?
No, Your Honor. Rest.
Okay. All right, Mr. Trout?
Yes, Your Honor. I called Tiffany Brown.
All right, Ms. Brown, if you'll raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you'll give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, real quickly, let me ask, Mr. Morales, what's your time constraint? Because I know you've got one this afternoon.
I believe it's not till 1:30, Your Honor, so I'm fine right now.
Oh, okay, all right.
And Your Honor, I don't plan on being very long.
Okay, it's fine. I just wanted to double check so we knew. Okay, you may proceed.
Ms. Brown, you've been here for the testimony, correct?
Yes, sir.
Have you tried to go over to Mom's house for visits?
With the stipulation that I have to talk to include her attorney in our communication, I did send an email to LaQuisha and Jerry asking when we can set up an in-person visit. Jerry responded that email would be better, and LaQuisha would not allow me into the home.
Okay. And when you say email would be better, can you explain that? What do you mean? The visit would be better communication through email?
Yes, I asked if anyone in his office would be willing to meet me there or meet us there in her home, since she stipulated her attorney needed to be involved in all communication.
Okay. All right. But from the responses you've gotten, is your understanding that Mom would not allow you in the house?
Correct. My supervisor further explained that because she stipulated her attorney needed to be present, that I could not violate that.
Okay. Is there concerns as far as the home study? Is there concerns of Mom testified a while ago that she uses grandma for transportation, correct?
Yes, it was stated in the denial that because there's daily contact, there was concern.
Okay, so that's another one of the big concerns is even if Mom claims she's not been going over to grandma's, there's still concerns of daily contact.
Yes.
Okay. Has Mom, I know Mom stated she has not been able to get any documentation from Serenity. But has Mom ever told you why she was kicked out?
Sir.
Okay. Do you know how long, and I should have asked Mom this, but do you know how long Mom's been going to AA or NA?
No, sir.
Were you aware that she was going?
No, sir.
Have you received any certificates or paperwork from any of her AA?
No, sir. I did reach out to Serenity, but she has to sign a release in order for me to get her private information.
Okay. And have you asked for mom to sign that release?
She did indicate in her email to us that she did not sign that paperwork for us to get any information regarding her care there at Serenity.
Okay. At this time, St. Francis would still be opposed to the child being placed in a home with grandmother.
Correct.
Okay. And understanding the fact that the court can overrule that and order that. Okay.
Yes.
As to visitations, due to still having positive drug screens, leaving outpatient, and not drug screening before we're going in, it was determined to stop visitations, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And that, did you staff that up to your supervisor director?
It went all the way up to the director.
Okay.
We don't just cancel visits. We have to get director approval.
Okay. So it wasn't just a decision you made on your own on a whim that day. Okay. As far as, well, I'll ask this question. I don't know if Judge, you can stop me if you want to do on this. I'm not sure. Is the St. Francis opposed to an extension at this time?
Yes.
And is that based upon mom at this point not following the court orders?
Correct.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Morales.
Miss Brown, was it St. Francis's department that after she was discharged or left Synacor for her second rehab, that the department was not going to offer outpatient as ordered?
It's my understanding of the ruling that she was to complete inpatient and outpatient subsequently.
Did you ask for any further clarification?
I did. It went up to Daniel, who copy and pasted his notes into the email to let us know what the ruling was that day.
It said inpatient followed by, it didn't say completion of inpatient, did it? It said inpatient followed by outpatient.
Mr. Morales, I'm just going to stop you because I'm looking at it. My ruling says mother is ordered to complete inpatient and follow up with outpatient.
So based on her failure to complete it, St. Francis wasn't going to offer any more services to Miss Dotts.
Correct, because it is a court ruling and we can't come behind that and offer a different service.
Did you actually, on the day that you requested she test, provide a UA, I believe. Oh, sorry, I just had that pulled up. The day that you allegedly showed up to her place of employment, did you actually go to the Murphys?
Went to the Murphy to get a big red soda with my coworker, saw LaQuisha. Because she stipulated that her attorney needed to be present, I walked right back out. Did not make any contact with her.
But you saw that she was there?
I saw that she was there, did not get the soda we intended to get. We walked out and walked over to the Walmart.
Did you see if anybody else was working with her?
My intention going there was to get a big red soda.
That's not what I asked. Did you see if anybody else was there working with her?
Was it paying attention?
And it is a requirement that she maintain employment as one of her services.
Yes.
I'll pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Nowak.
No questions, Judge. Thank you.
Ms. Zavala.
So, Ms. Brown, when the court ordered her to attend inpatient rehab, she went somewhere. Is that correct?
She was already in their rehab. She was already in Serenity. She had checked in that Saturday.
Okay, so let me go back to Synacor. She went there on her own, right?
She had asked, they had asked for an alternative. We let them know we could not offer an alternative as this was a court order. They would have to file a motion to take it back in front of the judge.
What I'm trying to get to is Ms. Stotts is a grown adult who identified an inpatient treatment and went to it herself, correct?
I'm
Could
assuming
she
so,
not
yes.
do the same thing for outpatient?
The process is the same for every parent. They have to go through an OSAR and get recommended to the service so that state funding can pay for the service.
So Ms. Stotts says that she went to Synacor. She didn't tell you where she was going. She refused to give you any information on that. Why is it that she couldn't attempt to find her own outpatient if she could do that for inpatient?
Objection calls for speculation.
Overruled. Is there any reason you know that she could not do that, Ms. Brown?
So she didn't have to sit back after she chose to leave Synacor that she had found without giving you info. She's now saying, I couldn't do outpatient because Ms. Brown wouldn't find me one. Isn't she just as capable of finding an outpatient treatment for herself?
Yes, ma'am.
I pass the witness.
Mr. Trout?
Ms. Brown, has mom held a job throughout or for the most part of this case?
Yes.
Okay. Have you asked her to drug screen before while she was at work?
Yes.
Okay. And you heard her testify earlier that her work knows what is going on with her in this
Yes.
case? Okay. Is it uncommon to ask parents to drug screen while they're at work?
Not uncommon.
Okay. It's not an attempt to get them fired or to leave their job. It's to give them a heads up, you need to drug screen by this time, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And it is the parents' responsibility to let their work know they need to take care of this.
Yes.
Okay. To your knowledge, did Ms. Stotts do that on that day?
Sure.
Okay. And you weren't asking her to walk out of her job and leave it unattended, were you?
No, sir.
Just that she needed drug screen by, I'm assuming, 4 o'clock that day.
By 4 o'clock, and I also included in my email that if she did not go by 4 o'clock, it would be recorded as a presumed positive.
Okay.
So I also outlined the consequence of not going.
Okay. But you didn't say, don't care about your job, I need you to go.
I did not.
I'll pass with Ms. Garner.
All right, Mr. Morales.
Ms. Brown, you said that you know no impediments why she couldn't find an outpatient program, but didn't you also say that outpatient and inpatient, if it's going to be paid for by the state, requires an OSAR?
For state funding, yes. She had previously also identified another inpatient program out in Lubbock where she emailed us asking us to pay for it. So she's identified a few programs.
Yeah, whenever she left Synacor and asked for your help in getting further services, you went straight to, hey, no visits, and you did not recommend an OSAR at that point. I know you did prior to her going into Synacor, but after she left Synacor, you didn't offer OSAR to get outpatient paid for, did you?
We offer counseling, but also she did not ask us to identify another service. She relayed in her email that she felt that it was not for her, and that she would continue doing NA, but she did not ask for any help in that email.
So you took her responses to not request anything, and you didn't take the initiative to tell her, hey, look, we can set you up with an OSAR to get outpatient done, knowing that was a requirement?
Well, in the last hearing, I testified that the OSAR coordinator will not do another OSAR with her because of her behavior. And so I would not offer her another OSAR knowing that the OSAR coordinator has refused service with LaQuisha.
So when Ms. Zavala asked you if there were any impediments or any reason why she might not be able to get an outpatient, that seems like that would be a reason or an impediment if they're not going to give her an OSAR.
Not in my opinion. The inpatient that she identified at first in Lubbock, she did not go through OSAR to identify that. And so my understanding of Ms. Zavala's question is, does she have the capability? And because she has identified an inpatient before in our emails, I would testify and say, yes, she does have the ability.
Well, assuming that you may have interpreted that wrong and she asked whether or not there was any reason why she couldn't, not necessarily if she could at all costs. I believe her question was, why, is there any reason? I would think that lack of state funding might be one reason.
So when she asked about the inpatient in Lubbock, she did not request state funding. She requested that St. Francis pay for it. And I also think those questions are best suited to be asked in Ms. Stotts.
So when somebody asks you whether the state will pay for it versus St. Francis, you would expect your average litigant to understand that there's a distinction.
I would ask to clarify your question, yes.
I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Nowak?
No questions, Judge.
Okay, Ms. Zavala?
No further questions.
Okay, Mr. Trout, anything further?
Don't believe so, Your Honor. Nothing further.
All right, any further witnesses, Mr. Trout?
No further witnesses, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Nowak, any witnesses today?
No witnesses, Judge. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Hammonds obviously isn't here today, so, Ms. Zavala, any witnesses to present today?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Zavala, I'm gonna get your recommendation, and then I want to have a bench conference with the attorneys. So with respect to placement, not the extension, but with respect to placement, Ms. Zavala, do you have a recommendation?
Your Honor, I'm really torn. I would really like to try grandma as a placement. I really would. I think it would be good for Indiana. I think it'd be good to get out of the RTC. But at this point, I have zero faith in mom not showing up. And I think Indiana being removed would be devastating on her. But that's really what I want to ask for at this time, for Indiana to be placed with grandma and for us to try it. But I have some big reservations that mom won't comply.
Your Honor.
Not right now. I've heard what you've said, Ms. Stotts, that you won't go over there.
No, I was okay.
Do you wish to talk to your attorney?
I was going to ask if you would like to speak with my mother.
Well, is your mother present?
Yes.
So are you with her right now?
Yes.
All right, let me just ask this. Anybody wish to call maternal grandmother as a witness?
I don't, Jim.
I will, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Zavala, you can go ahead.
Ms. Walker, are you still interested in being placement for Indiana?
Of course, yes.
Okay. You've been here present for this whole hearing. Do you understand that if LaQuisha comes to your house or is in the car or is present in any place that she shouldn't be when Indiana is there, that Indiana will be removed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that means no regular rides to work unless there's some sort of care for Indiana. Can that be done?
Yes, ma'am. What my family and I have actually discussed all of this. My mom is willing, like if she's out of school or whatever, if it's on the weekend and LaQuisha needs to go to work, I can take Indiana to her. Or my aunt also lives in the same exact apartment complex that I do, right around the corner. So she's willing to come and sit with Indiana if I have to take LaQuisha to work. So we've worked as we're trying as a unit to get this done. I also have another daughter who's also willing to sit with Indiana.
Okay, pass the witness.
Miss Brown, have any of those family members been checked out as far as background checks, that kind of thing, if they were to provide kind of, short-term respite care for the child?
Yes, ma'am. There was a home study done on Helen Stotts as well. They have been vetted. Yes.
Okay. Any of them pass muster here? Or, we good with any of them providing short-term care for the child?
Great grandmother has been approved. Yes.
And that is who?
Helen
My
Stotts.
mother.
Okay. Helen Stotts.
Yes.
But the aunt or the has not been?
The LaQuisha's sister?
I don't
No,
know.
my mother's sister, Angela Walker is her name.
She has been approved, yes. And Miss Walker is correct. Where she lives is right behind the St. Francis building.
All right, so I'm just making a note. I'm trying to keep this straight. So you have approved for short-term care. Give me the names again.
Helen Stotts.
And that's maternal great-grandmother.
Yes, ma'am. But Helen Stotts does not drive. She also relies on well, in the home study, it says she doesn't drive. So she can't transport Indiana.
I understand. And we're talking about that what we're describing here is be short-term, 30 minutes, something like that. Okay. And then who else has been approved?
Miss Walker.
Angela Walker.
And that is a child's
great aunt.
Maternal great aunt.
Yes.
Any concerns there, Ms. Brown?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So we've got at least 2 people that could be backups.
Yes.
All right.
And with them being so close to the office and I'm here, I'm also available.
Okay. And so Ms. Stotts, do you have this letter from your physician?
Miss Walker, and the physician that wrote the actual letter is gone, so I'm gonna have to get another one from the current physician. Because I don't want you guys to call up there and be like, we need to talk to this physician and she's not there. So I want to get another one from the current physician.
From your current physician?
Correct.
Okay. How long do you think that'll take you to get?
I can go to tech sometime today.
Your Honor, may I ask Ms. Walker a question?
Go ahead.
Ms. Walker, if the court allows Indiana to be placed with you, are you still would you be able to continue her weekly therapy or making sure she's there, or
would it be in Lubbock or here in Amarillo?
Well, and that's something we're going to have to figure out. Okay. But you're okay continuing weekly therapy if the child is placed there?
Sure. Yeah.
And we'll get some clarification on whether that's virtual or in person where it is.
Okay. I mean, it doesn't matter either way. Just, I don't drive in the dark on the highway because my eyes won't do it. But any other time during the day, I'm fine.
And you understand you cannot let mom around.
Yes, of course.
Okay. Now, and I ask that because there's, in the denial of the home study, is the issues with the family-based service case,
right?
Correct? Where you allowed mom, you were supervising party and allowed mom to take child or children to Mr. Aguilar's place unattended.
No, that's incorrect.
Okay. But you understand the issues there and what we are talking
Yes, of course. I understand.
And if something like that happens, or mom's around with no notice and no approval, you understand that the child could be removed.
Yes.
Okay. And it would be your duty to make sure the child is protected.
Absolutely, yes.
I'll pass this witness, Your Honor, and I can clarify with Ms. Brown as far as therapy if we need to.
All right. Mr. Morales, do you have any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Nowak?
No questions, Judge.
All right, Ms. Zavala, any further questions for her?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody else have any further witnesses to call today?
I would just call Ms. Brown real quick, Judge, just to clarify on that therapy issue.
All right, Ms. Brown, you're still under oath.
Ms. Brown, is she seeing in-person therapy once a week, or is it virtual? How are they doing?
They're in person.
Okay, in Lubbock or in Levelland, or?
Right now they're in person in Levelland at her placement.
At her placement, okay.
Yes.
Is there a therapist up here that she could be switched over to in order to continue that, or would you want to try to continue with the therapist she has?
I think it'd be in best interest to switch her to an Amarillo therapist.
Okay. Do you know how long that would take to find somebody like that? If this is the way the court goes, how long would it take you to find that?
I can work on that today, but usually it takes about a week if they're accepting new patients.
Okay. Thank you. I'll pass it with Ms. Sharon.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have any further questions for Ms. Brown?
No, Your Honor.
No, Judge.
No, Judge.
No, you're right. Okay. I want to have bench conference with the attorneys. We've got several issues with the upcoming trial date and anyway, so let me get you all put in. Let's see, Mr. Trout, Ms. Vala, y'all can go back to room 1. I'll assign everybody else there. So everybody else just stay where you're at and we'll be back with you in just a few minutes. All right, we've got everybody back.
Judge, while you're doing that, could I talk to Ms. Sessions and Ms. Brown real quick? I can try to get a couple answers to what we just talked about.
Sure. If you can be pretty quick.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be very long.
I'll assign them into room 1 and you can go back in there.
Okay.
I just know Mr. Morales is kind of pressed.
Yes, ma'am. I'm not gonna take just a second.
Okay.
We're back in, Judge.
All right. Okay, then here's what we're going to do. I am going to order St. Francis to go see Mother's Home sometime this week. And Miss Stotts, you are ordered to allow them in your home and to allow them in your home every month thereafter until we have a final hearing. The maternal grandmother, Miss Stotts, needs to get a letter from her current physician stating that she is physically able to care for the child or children. Once that's provided to St. Francis and St. Francis views maternal grandmother's home, then I am going to place Indiana with the maternal grandmother Stotts. Ms. Helen Stotts and Ms. Angela Walker are approved short-term caregivers to the child. They also need to understand the rules that they cannot allow access between the child and the mother outside of the visitation rules.
Yes, Your
Okay.
Honor.
Our final hearing was set for September 24th. The council is aware I have to be out on a family leave matter, and so we are going to call the final hearing next Tuesday on September 17th at 8:45 in the morning. What that means, we will call the case and then we will recess the case. The purpose of that is I have a visiting judge that will be here on the 24th, but for continuity, I would prefer that there just be one judge in the case. And so that way I can call it and recess it. We will resume our final hearing on December 12th of 2024, and that'll be on a 9 o'clock docket. I'm pushing out that to resume the final. I'm pushing it out that far because it gives us an opportunity to see how Indy is doing in the grandmother's home. I'm not granting an extension in the case. I don't find that there are any extraordinary circumstances which permit me to do that, since Ms. Stotts did not complete any drug treatment. And so she's not completed her service plan. I will ask St. Francis to use their best efforts to obtain another OSAR for mom or some equivalent evaluation.
And
if Linda Dudley won't do that, if we can get that through someone else, whether that be a counselor or something else in town, we can try to do that. And Ms. Stotts, you will remain under the prior order to go to inpatient followed by outpatient treatment. You I'm just telling you, you caught a 90-day break in this deal because I want to see how Indiana does. And just honestly, by virtue of the fact that I've got a family obligation I have to go do that week. You know, I just can't tell you. You have picked and choosed, you know, what orders you're going to follow, what you're not going to follow. You've played by your own rules, basically. And I will tell you that for the next 90 days, you would be well advised to play by my rules and not your rules.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor.
You would be advised not to burn any more bridges with any of these service providers. I mean, you've all through this case, it's been, we have a problem with this person, we have a problem with that person, we have a problem with, you know, it's just remarkable to me how I can have parents that go through an entire case and never have a problem with these service providers, but yet, Ms. Stotts, you've had a problem with everybody involved. So, you know, that kind of tells me the problem may lie with you. So you need to do a little reflection before your next encounter with any of these folks. And, you know, maybe keep your opinions to yourself for a change. The truth is, these folks are all here to try to help you, and they've all been on a mission to try to help reunify you with your children. But because you've played by your own rules and because you've not followed court orders, that hasn't been able to happen. So there's one person in the room to blame for that. And that's you. So you've got a little window of time to see what you can do. And I encourage you to do it. Okay, I'll see everybody next Tuesday, 8:45 in the morning. And I appreciate everybody's time today. As soon as St. Francis gets that documentation, then we can start trying to figure out, you know, how and when the placement of Indiana is going to take. To Miss Stotts, the grandmother, or excuse me, Ms. Walker. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Helen Stotts. Correct?
No,
No, wait a
No.
minute. I still got it wrong.
this is Miss Walker.
It is Ms. Walker. Yes. Okay. I'm so sorry. Okay. Got several Ms. Stotts and several Ms. Walkers. Okay.
Yeah.
Ms. Walker, I know you've heard it from everybody else, but most importantly, I'm going to say it again. You cannot allow her to come to the house to just have a chance encounter. You know, if you see each other at Walmart, you and the child, you know, everybody needs to turn and go the other way. And the same rule applies to Miss Stotts, the mother. Don't ask your mother to break the rules, because what's going to happen is someone will find out, and, you know, then we're back in the position of having to find placement for Indiana and having to move her out of the home. And I agree, it would be devastating to her. So
Not only to her, but to my 6-year-old grandson who's missing her like crazy. They're like best friends, and he's missing her too. So,
yep, it impacts a lot of people. There's no question.
does.
So it's just easier for everybody to follow the rules and do what we're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
And Judge, if I may, real quick, I know we've said the encounters with mom. We haven't talked much about dads in this case, but I know one's incarcerated right now, but Mr. Nowak's client, I don't think there's any contact anywhere, but chance encounters on that also with,
Okay.
with dad in these cases.
Yeah.
With Cameron.
Yes.
So she's not to be around Cameron either.
Not unless it's supervised by the department according to their visitation schedule.
Okay. Okay. Now
So
that I did
Cameron's
not know.
visits have been stopped as well.
Yeah. I mean, so
Okay.
you cannot allow him to have access either.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. All right, then I'll see everybody on Tuesday.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Welcome, Judge.